Miami breaks through, wins a college football playoff game. Congratulations to you, Canes fans. We appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Let's talk it up. Let's analyze this one and look ahead for Miami football because this is a joyous occasion for all of you. And of course, we invite all college football fans here. So, Miami fan or not, welcome into the Voice of College Football. Leave those comments and questions there in the chat. We will take this for several minutes or beyond, depending on your involvement and how long you would like us to talk to Miami football. Typically here with Cam Underwood from State of the U, of course, on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Then we also have the other primetime show. We've got the call-in show, so please check those out on a regular basis with Jaden Gonzalez right here at the Voice of College Football. So once again, before we dive into the analysis of the game, those of you that join Cam and I on Wednesday nights, the schedule is going to be a bit quirky the next 2 weeks, obviously, with the holidays. Don't know if I'm going to be able to show up. We'll see what we're able to put together. Of course, the Wednesdays line up with Christmas and New Year's Eve. So be flexible in regards to joining us. We will do our best to bring you Miami football coverage. And again, Jaden Gonzalez with the call-in show. You need to get there on Thursdays. Miami wins at 10-3. I've left the call-in line in the chat. Give me a call. Let's talk this one up, as it was a heck of a ball game. The most exciting 10-3 ball game that I can ever remember watching. That is for sure. Let's see who's in the chat before we break it down. We got Young Bucks 6504. We got GG. Thanks for being here. Defense does travel. That pass rush definitely travels. Next stop is Cowboys Stadium in Dallas. Let's go Canes. We got a college football Cane fan. Let's go Canes. And again, this a historic day. Miami, of course, won a national championship in 2001. They were a really good program after that for a few years, and we've been looking at a 7-5 program. Basically, I've done the numbers. I've done the breakdowns. This has been a 7-5 program for about 20 years, since about 2005, with a couple high points briefly. But this is what you hired Mario Cristobal to do, and he is delivering, and that's an impressive football team. And to go on the road against a top-level SEC opponent that is maybe not as good as its 11-1 record, but is a really physical, talented football team that is definitely in the top 15 teams in America. And to go there, fight through some adversity, get the job done, win the game, play that kind of defense. I will just pass along 2 pages of notes. This is how I do the playoffs, folks. I know that most of you are Miami fans that don't watch me on a regular basis over on the main channel. You should. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, live 10 p.m. Eastern time and post game. So join us over on the main channel for my call-in shows there on a regular basis. But I'm just going to run through what stuck out to me. And certainly I want to take your comments and your questions. We appreciate the super chat contributions. We appreciate, please like the video and also subscribe. So Texas A&M came in with field goal issues. So they had a really good field goal kicker in Randy Bond. Hit 20 of 24 one year. But this year, 11 of 18 coming in. So they benched their starting kicker, Randy Bond. They brought in this kid, Zirkle. And Ruben Bain obviously swatted away the first attempt there. So that was the first huge play in this game to a certain extent. But I really want to set this up with a lot of things going into this game. Again, Texas A&M with issues kicking field goals. Miami didn't until the game. Think about this. The Canes came in plus 10 turnover margin. Texas A&M for an 11-1 football team, minus 8 turnover margin. Both teams turned it over in critical spots in the fourth quarter, but obviously the Canes made the play that won the game, and Texas A&M turned it over to lose the game. That Texas A&M offensive line is extremely good. Fewest tackles for loss given up in the nation, but Akeem Messidor, Keontae Scott, Ruben Bain. The Miami pass rush was devastating at times. Marcel Reed was a freak athlete to get away from it on many occasions. 10 tackles for loss for the Canes on this one. Le'Veon Moss, a big miss for 6 games for Texas A&M. Excellent running back. Mike Elko thinks he's the best back in the SEC. I don't know about that, but he's one of the best. Miami held Le'Veon Moss to 7 carries for 15 yards. So that also an exceptional effort as well. Adam, thanks for being here. Adam, you're phenomenal. It's great to have you in a live chat because typically we just have Adam responding to our videos over in the main channel. And yes, the Canes took my advice. Well, it wasn't that the Canes were talking that I knew of. I don't listen to their interviews, but it wasn't about the Canes talking. So I wasn't getting on the Miami football team. I was getting on some Miami fans. So anyway, I get your point. I get your point. It's all in fun. Took your advice. Shut the hell up until you win a game that matters. I'm guessing the game mattered. That terrible Mario Cristobal got lucky again. I don't know what that means. So I don't know if you've got a vendetta against Mario Cristobal or if other Miami fans maybe aren't quite sold on Mario Cristobal. We shall see. Obviously, he's done a nice job with the program to date. All right. So that's kind of the pregame setup of this one. In terms of how it played out, well, you guys watched it, and it was a rock fight. But it was an entertaining rock fight. I don't know that the SEC is overrated necessarily, but anyway. Marcel Reed was all over the place. So he was hot in the fourth quarter, played really well in the fourth quarter, finally settled in. But we talked about this the last few weeks. It was my thought that this guy's the wild card of this game. And he was mostly horrific. But did get hot in the fourth quarter, but could not get a touchdown on the board. So Marcel Reed was all over the place. Like, even the passes he completed were ugly. He can't even throw a swing pass. The first 3 quarters of that game, especially in the first quarter, he was throwing swing passes that running backs and receivers were twisting and turning and leaping and falling backward to try to catch. And then it allowed the Miami defense, obviously, when you don't place it. I hear Tom Brady talk about this all the time. One of the most important passes you can throw is that back out and throw it right where he can just in stride. And Marcel Reed, my goodness, these guys were like going through acrobatics to try to catch these passes just out of the backfield. It was awful. Okay, I want to point out a couple of key open field tackles that Miami made in the first half that were decisive. So for as bad as Marcel Reed was, they did move the football on their first drive, 12 plays, 32 yards. So they didn't exactly gobble up yardage, but they held the ball for 12 plays. And they did hit a pass out beyond the flat on the left side. And the receiver, I don't know if it was Craver or Bethel Roman or Concepcion, don't remember which receiver for A&M. He would have been gone for a touchdown, but Xavier Lucas made an excellent open field tackle. And that saved a touchdown, most likely. And then we'll get to another exceptional play here by the Miami defense here in just a second in terms of open field tackling. But, of course, Keontae Scott, wow, what a return. Lower body injury, missed 3 games, 10 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, but you had to actually watch him play to appreciate it. Had the forced fumble where Texas A&M had a disjointed play. Who knows what went wrong? Marcel Reed was kind of rolling to his left, but it didn't appear that there was anything designed. It just looked like a busted play. And Keontae Scott comes out of nowhere and just munches him, just takes the ball basically out of his hand right before he was about to throw it. So another time in which recruiting exceptional athletes, speed. If he's a split second later, he still forces an incomplete pass, but it's a pass, not a fumble. So Scott closes in a hurry, forces the fumble, and Blunt recovered. And Texas A&M was down to the 29-yard line there. So probably saved at least a field goal with that play. Now, Miami did nothing with it, as they did in the first half. Now, Miami's got to be better, no doubt, against Ohio State. They're going to have to play much better, and especially on offense. They can't go 27 plays, 64 yards in the first half. 27 plays, 64 yards. That's 2.2 yards per play. It's really bad. A&M gets it back, and Marcel Reed hit that 69-yarder to Concepcion, who's an exceptional player. Remember, he used to play at NC State. All-purpose back, first-team All-American. 69-yard play. Caught the ball over his shoulder, extended, brought it in. That was an exceptional play. But the Miami defense stood up. So A&M gets a 69-yard play, but they get it inside the 5. The Canes stepped up on defense, forced the field goal try, and boom, Ruben Bain gets the block. And when your best players can play on special teams and make that kind of an impact too, that's pretty phenomenal. But still, Texas A&M led in yardage by 3-1, 149-46 at this point in the game. There was another open field tackle for the Canes that really saved them on another drive. Texas A&M got something going. Marquise Lightfoot had an open field tackle that saved a first down that would have been fringe red zone. Then we saw Malachi Toney take a punt almost all the way. I was kind of surprised that this Marcus Radcliffe closed on him and made quite the tackle, but Toney obviously is special. Had not a phenomenal game, but he had the game-winning touchdown, of course, and he had this punt return. But Texas A&M did a nice job on Malachi Toney. They swarmed to him. He only had 5 catches for 22 yards, but on this punt return, obviously, they suck in everyone. Everybody over pursues. He's too fast, hits the corner. Thought he was scoring a touchdown, but again, Radcliffe just closed and made a great play, and that saved a touchdown. That didn't even just save a field goal because obviously Carter Davis missed the field goal. Miami took over the 25, and Dalton Brooks had a sack off the edge. Then Carter Davis missed the field goal. Texas A&M had one other chance to try to get something going there in the first half, and of course they faked the punt. And you got to credit Miami because the defender out there, I don't know who it was, turned into a pass defender and covered it up, and it did not break open. And so Texas A&M goes for the gusto with a fake punt, and Miami takes over at midfield, and lo and behold, another missed field goal. First half, I mentioned Miami 27 plays, 64 yards. Texas A&M 35 plays for 165. You could do the math. I know that Miami with that last drive, I think they outgained Texas A&M, or maybe A&M with their last drive came back. It was close. They were both around 300 yards or a little bit less. Marcel Reed was the guy that his athleticism kind of made up at times for his scattershot throwing, which was really atrocious. Miami's going to face a much better passer, certainly most accurate passer, maybe the most accurate passer statistically in the country. Miami finally gets something going. Okay, first drive, second half, 9 plays, 72 yards. That was a thing of beauty, and that's when Mark Fletcher really started to get rolling. Beck hit on some short plays underneath. 9 plays, 72 yards. Yes. Miami gets the field goal, 3-0. Zachariah Poyser had to leave the game. He got knocked out. He was taken to the locker room, and he's a big loss. We'll see what the prognosis is there for the next game. But that's when, of course, Bryce Fitzgerald stepped into the lineup, and he gets a ball thrown right between his numbers that Marcel Reed again. Oh, my word. Did you see the Fitzgerald interception from behind the quarterback? Reed, he had I believe it was Concepcion, breaking free. As soon as he made his cut, he would have been in the clear. He had a nice window. Wow. He threw it like 6 yards behind him, like 4 yards over his head. And Fitzgerald just had a gift right in his chest. My goodness, yeah, that was an awful overthrow. So that sets up Miami at the Texas A&M 29. Torian York, one of the best linebackers in the country, made an excellent play. I don't know if Beck would have thrown a touchdown there. They had the slant. I don't know who that was. It was pretty well covered, but Beck might have fit it in there. York deflected it. No touchdown. And they missed the field goal again. So obviously Miami could have been, if everyone's making their field goals, Miami's winning at this point 12-3. 12-3. It was 3-0 still. And it was windy out there. Now, O.J. Frederick should have been called for a late hit on the sideline. I don't think there's any question about that. Miami, at this point, man, the pass rush was devastating. They held Texas A&M to a 3-and-out. They made Reed throw it away or make a futile attempt at trying to complete a pass, running for his life. But Frederick did make the hit in the white, and it was way late. Should have been called, but not a huge deal unless, who knows, maybe Texas A&M would have taken the ball down the field and scored. We will never know. There was another play, Texas A&M. They're moving the football. They're in the fringe of the red zone, and Marcel Reed escapes. He's got Concepcion wide open, and he throws a grounder, and Concepcion was ruled a catch. He obviously trapped it. It wasn't even close, and that would have been on the fringe of the red zone. That was around the 25-yard line, and they had to punt again. Then, about the last two drives of the game, we finally saw Marcel Reed settle in and really start to fire some shots. He got the one to Ashton Bethel-Roman for a first down. And during this series, Ahmad Moten had to leave the game. And that's when they finally got the field goal with 8 minutes left. So they tie it at 3-3. Randy Bond comes back into the game as Texas A&M's field goal kicker. The kid has kicked 71 field goals in his career. But Texas A&M had a 60-40 play advantage at this point. I'm guessing that finished roughly the same. But they also had almost a 100-yard advantage. And obviously Miami caught up with that. It was 259-165. Okay, what could have been the play of the game, especially considering it's 3-3, nobody's scoring, nobody's doing anything, although Texas A&M's moving the ball better. That's when Dalton Brooks had the strip on Malachi Toney at midfield. So Toney gives it up. Sanford recovers. And so Texas A&M, 3-3 ball game. They got the ball at midfield. This is where the Miami defense once again steps up. Got a change of possession like that. Momentum to the offense, but Ruben Bain and company, Scott, Messador were devastating. Bain gets the sack. They force the punt. Then Miami's backed up. And so Texas A&M still in a favorable position. Like if you looked at FPI game percentage chance of winning, it would still probably favor Texas A&M because it's 3-3 and Miami's backed up at its own 10 or 12 yard line with what? 5 minutes left at this point. But Mark Fletcher, he was a man to say the least on this day. Can't believe I just mentioned him. He goes off tackle, pretty much right off the center's right cheek. And we talked about this last Wednesday night when we had our guy Cameron Honesty, our Texas A&M analyst on, and he said Texas A&M's got an excellent run defense most of the time, but they blow big plays, and that's what happened. They crossed the two guys. They both missed their run fits and left it wide open, and Fletcher was off to the races. 56 yards. That's the longest run of his career. So then it was just a matter of ball control, just a matter of, okay, let's run this ball out. Let's try to squeeze the clock down to as close to 0 as possible. Obviously, Texas A&M had all of its timeouts on defense to keep Miami from doing that. but Malachi Tony gets to the outside on the stretch play. It's a jet sweep, wasn't it? I thought it was a rushing touchdown, but I think in the box score, I think it was a flip forward. And so Beck gets a cheap touchdown pass there, but Tony turns the corner. Nobody's catching him. Nobody gets there. There was a really nice block. I'm trying to think. There was a seal block, I think, by Daniels on the right side. Thought he picked somebody off that was huge there. And you got $1:45 left in the game, and Miami finally scores. Somebody finally scores a touchdown in this game. Canes up 10-3 at this point. And then it came down to this last drive, and I thought the game was over. I've watched a lot of football in 50-some years, watched a lot of football, and I never say that's it for a team that's that talented. But the way Miami was playing on defense, the way Texas A&M struggling on offense, I just thought, wow, this is going to be tough to overcome. No timeouts. They did have a lot of time, but Marcel Reed goes to work. And so I know I've cut on the guy for the horrendous play for 3 quarters, but he was excellent in the fourth quarter. He was really impressive. He went 25 of 39, and the last successful play for Texas A&M got him inside the 5-yard line was the crossing route to Casey Concepcion, who, again, just tremendous player. He gets it inside the 5. Then there was that collision at the goal line. So I'm trying to also recognize some unsung heroes. Like I talked about Xavier Lucas. I talked about Marquise Lightfoot. And here it was Mohamed Toure. I think Reuben Owens would have scored a touchdown. The ball was right in his chest. He would have caught it most likely. And Toure just smacked him immediately right at the goal line. It was a tremendous hit. Hopefully Toure's okay. Had to be ushered from the field. Owens was shaken up as well, but Toure got the worst of it. But he might have saved the football game. Who knows if they go to overtime? It's a 50-50 deal. So credit Mohamed Toure. He should be given a big gold star because that pass breakup meant not going to overtime. Most likely, Miami still would have had like 30 seconds or less to do something. And then obviously that was only one play prior to the game winner. Marcel Reed's back in the pocket. You get the good and the bad, and that was just a horrible throw. Again, he makes a horrible throw. He had a window there. He had an opportunity. He threw it late. He threw it behind him, and he didn't throw it high enough. He did none of those things. And, of course, Fitzgerald picks it off, and Miami's got its win. That's your ball game. Miami wins a postseason game. Well, obviously, they've won bowl games, although they haven't won too many of those. The bowl game record has been pretty horrendous the last 20 years. I know at one point they lost 7 or 8 in a row. I'm trying to think. Recently here, they lost last year. They lost to Iowa State. They lost to Rutgers. They lost to Oklahoma State with Manny Diaz. They lost Mark Richt's last bowl game to Wisconsin. They lost a couple bowl games to Wisconsin under Mark Richt. Has Miami not won a bowl game since 2016? 2017, they lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Wisconsin in 18. 2019 was Manny Diaz's first year. Was that the infamous Louisiana Tech loss? 2020, they lose to Oklahoma State. 21, they don't go to a bowl game, right? No, 21, 7-5. Van Dyke's big season. They don't go to a bowl game, though, for whatever reason. They're probably a COVID deal. And then they lose to Rutgers. They lose to Iowa State. Yeah, this has been a rough go. They don't won a bowl game since 2016. All right, so a playoff win, which is obviously much more important than a bowl game, but a first postseason win since 2016. Good Lord, 9 years. And then obviously the first win of huge consequence in postseason play since beating Nebraska in 2001. No calls, please, except if you want to call me. I will leave the call-in line one more time in the chat because I am done with my analysis, but I would love to hear from any of you. Otherwise, I'm off to watch Ole Miss and Tulane. And if you would please not put the score there, I don't know what's going on right now, although I would expect the Rebels to rout Tulane. I do want to just start watching the game from 0-0. A road win, Mark. Yes, I realize that. Win against top 10 West Virginia squad with Richt. Yes, I that's what I said. Yeah, 2016. Yeah. Yeah. So my thoughts going into the game, obviously I expected more scoring. I did pick Miami to win. I wasn't hugely confident. I don't know that West Virginia, was in the top 10. I think they finished 10-3. They were 10-2, but against a pretty weak schedule. But regardless, who cares? It doesn't matter. Just wanted to give my takeaways, and I lost my train of thought. I was on to something else here. But I did think Miami was going to win the game. I picked them to win. Would not have been surprised if they lost. Obviously, this is like a 50-50 game pretty much, although I think Miami's a slightly better team. I did think that there was something with a home field advantage. I do think that that's real, but I think it's overrated by most. If you look at history and look at results, it's overstated a little bit. I do think that Mike Elko, I would take him as a head coach on game day at least. But the Beck versus Reed. Reed had much more on his shoulders. Obviously, Reed was the Texas A&M offense, while Beck was about as transparent or invisible as a starting quarterback can be in 2025. I think somebody was trying to call, but they've not been able to connect. But 14 of 20 for Beck. And again, the run game was devastating in the end. I don't necessarily know that the run game was extremely effective. Then it just broke loose and was just phenomenal. All right, folks. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. That should about wrap it up. Don't see any other comments or question that we need to get there. Miami left points on the board. And obviously, Texas A&M left a lot of points on the board as well. I don't know if this is going to be a great game. It could be a great game. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a great game against Ohio State, or maybe Miami's not up to the challenge. We shall see. We shall see. All right. We appreciate you being here. And again, for this week, please understand that it's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day following. So we're not quite set on the shows and when we're going to be able to show up for the shows. I'm going to encourage Cam to jump on here and to do a show this week, even if I can't jump on because I'll be traveling. I intend on doing a show regardless. I know you guys don't want to hear from me first and foremost about Miami football, but I'm here. I talk college football about everyone, and I will definitely be obviously prepping myself for the big showdown in Dallas. All right, folks, congratulations on a big win. And Miami's 11-2. They got Ohio State on New Year's Eve. What else could you want? Appreciate you being here. Again, lock it in to our number of Miami shows right here at the Voice of College Football. And we will see you, as they say, when we see you.